Welcome to Glam Beauty! Please join me as I attend the grand launching of its clinical product in the address of Fountain View Hotel, Dubai, as they unveil the luxurious product that many Hollywood stars use. So, what are you waiting for? Please join me! Let's go!
I'm here in the address Front View Hotel, and I will be attending the grand launching of one of the well-known product, which is IS Clinical. Here it is. Okay, and we'll give you the details later on. Come on, let's go inside.
In helping me welcome Miss Catherine Medina, who has come here all the way from US to meet all of you, to speak to all of you and to answer any of your questions. She's actually heading the international business across the globe for IS Clinical. So please, let's welcome her.
Hello everyone, can you all hear me? I know we've been having some microphone problems. I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So I am so thrilled to be here. I am so thrilled to be launching the IS Clinical brand in Dubai, in this market. And as Sabu mentioned, it's taken this company, Leader Healthcare, 2 years to research our product and to make sure that this is the right fit for this distributor, for this company. But it was also with us. We were very selective with the distributors that we signed. We want to make sure that that mission, that vision that the two founders of the company have is carried on with every distributor that we sign with. So my history, I'll tell you a little bit about me because my history with the company is very unique as well. I've actually worked on the other side of the business. I've never worked for a company, for anybody other than myself as an adult. And I certainly never represented a brand. This is the only time in my life that I'm representing a company because I used to own a medical spa. I've been in this industry for over 25 years. And I started with the medical spa when the term medical spa didn't even exist. This is a long time ago. I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I partnered up with a very well-known plastic surgeon there. And so it wasn't even called medical spa because, again, the term didn't even exist. So it was a business within a business. And I met the two founders of this company, Brian and Alex, 2 years before the actual launch day. So I was literally one of the first accounts that opened, that started carrying this brand in the US. So this was in the year 2000. You got the mic working? Hello? Is this anybody? No. I'm not seeing any difference. Okay, this is better. Let's hope it stays this way. So I was literally one of the first accounts that opened with this brand in the US. And I carried 4 big brands at the time, and the two founders of the company came into my office, never heard of this brand because literally they didn't even have salespeople. They just formulated the product and they were going to the top plastic surgeons and dermatologists across the US and introducing the brand. And I happened to work with a very well-known plastic surgeon. So even though I carried 4 big brands, I tried the products, and I have rosacea. I have very reactive, very sensitive skin. And I told them, if whatever you give me, if it flares up my rosacea, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to bring on your brand. So then I also gave samples to my patients, kind of what Sabu was doing as well, trying to see, what they think about this brand, and everyone loved it. So I actually ended up calling them up and saying, I don't know who you are, I don't know, never heard of this brand, but I like your product. I'm going to open up an account. So I literally became one of the first accounts in the US that started carrying this brand 19 years ago. Then I became one of the top accounts in the US because after 4 years after having the medical spa, I also started an online company, a website in the US. And this was right at the beginning of the internet, where literally I was on the first page of Yahoo and Google without having any competition or having to pay anything for it. And I started as a side business with just 5 brands at the time that I was carrying. And it just took off like crazy. So within a year, I went from 5 brands to 40 brands, and it was all strictly skincare. Nothing, in addition, I still continued with the medical spa, but then in addition to it, I had this, because it was started just as a side business, not knowing how it was going to perform. And it was just strictly 40 brands, over 600 products. I had a warehouse. There was just skincare, no makeup, no hair, nails, nothing, just skincare and primarily clinical skincare. Also, when I started in this industry, there was only one brand. It was called Biomedic. I don't think that's even around anymore. So every doctor's office in the US that you would go into, plastic surgeons primarily and dermatologists, would have just that one brand. But in the first 5 years of me being in the industry, all of these other brands started coming up. Then it went to 40 brands. Now, as I'm sure all of you know, there are so many clinical brands out there. I mean, the industry has changed so much. So I've carried this brand for all these years. I sold my company 7 years ago, and then the two founders of It's Clinical kept coming after me and saying, you are one of the first accounts, you've been so loyal to our brand. You're also one of our top accounts in the US. Come and work for us, come and work for us. So essentially, here I am. I basically travel around the world, so I head the international division, so I make the decisions who we do sign contracts with, who we don't sign contracts with. And I also educate, because my experience is so unique with this brand and because I've worked with it for 19 years on the other side of the business. So I can also speak from the other perspective and from the business perspective as well. So even though there are so many brands today, this brand is still very unique. And Brian and Alec already pointed out some of the differences, but I will tell you a few more things that really set it apart. I'll read very quickly this mission statement because Brian pretty much discussed it, but there are two things here that I wanted to really pay more attention to. We at Innovative Skincare are dedicated to developing clinically validated skincare products that improve the physical and emotional well-being of people globally. We employ the highest ethical standards as we advance the science of skin health one phase at a time. Brian mentioned that we do independent clinical studies. It's really interesting because I carried all these brands, so I had to determine, even in my medical spa, how do I position all these products? How do I position all these brands? How do I train my staff to recommend which product to recommend when? So I did always a lot of competitive analysis, and I'm very familiar with pretty much most brands that are out there because at one point or another I carried them myself, most of them. One interesting thing that I found is a lot of companies do clinical studies, but they do them themselves. They do them in-house. So obviously, what company is going to do a clinical study and tell you that their products are bad? We don't do in-house clinical studies. All of our studies are done independently using very well-known, very respected scientific institutions around the world. So not just a particular laboratory, it's basically we use whatever laboratory that we are basically trying to determine. If we're testing on collagen synthesis, we'll use the laboratory that is known for testing on collagen synthesis. If we're testing on antioxidant efficacy, then we'll use the laboratory that specializes in that. So those studies are very, very expensive. They're also blinded, so that obviously the laboratory does not know what they're receiving. They don't know what's in the product. It just is labeled sample A, B, and C. Then on top of that, they are peer-reviewed by other scientists in the industry, and it's only then that the data comes to us, and we have those independent clinical studies are available to you on all of our top formulations. And I will tell you, over the years, since I've worked with this brand for 19 years, if there is something that doesn't test out, they want for it to test out, they won't launch it. That's the difference in being a privately held company. That's another huge point of difference. When I met Brian and I 19 years ago, they told me they will keep this company privately held. Well, I met a lot of company owners because, again, all these companies were pretty much starting at the same time. And they were all saying the same thing, except when a big pharmaceutical company or a big cosmetic company would come knocking on their door and then they would end up selling out. And the biggest thing that I saw is then the quality of the ingredients, the whole manufacturing process would suffer, would change. So the fact that this is one of the few privately held companies after 19 years of being in business is very unique because they want to retain that full control over everything from the independent studies to the quality of ingredients to the whole manufacturing process. So it really, really sets it apart because you're getting the best of the best in terms of the ingredients, in terms of the formulations. So for example, one of the things that they never had until we just launched them last year were chemical peels. So that was my specialty. When I had a medical spa, I did chemical peels for 16 years. And I always would say, I sell so many of your products. How come you don't have a chemical peel? I don't understand. I have to use other companies' chemical peels. I would love to use yours, but you don't have one. And then Brian, the CEO who said he's in charge of R&D, he would say, no, we're we're not going to have chemical peels until the technology is advanced enough to where we can get the results without damaging the skin, without causing harm to the skin. So now, a year ago, they finally launched chemical peels because there are some newer forms of ingredients. There's newer technology, newer advancements where they feel that you can achieve the same results without damaging the skin, without causing damage to the skin or unnecessary inflammation. So that's one big difference. The other one they already mentioned as well, that the products are designed to improve skin health. That's probably is the first and foremost the main mission of the company. So everything that goes into the product, including starting with ingredients, the quality of ingredients, the dosage, even the preservatives, it's designed to be non-toxic and safe. And as Sabu mentioned, women who are pregnant and nursing can use all of our formulations, including the fire and ice treatment, which is a light chemical peel with no downtime, as well as cancer patients. Our products are featured and carried in cancer institutions around the world. Mayo Clinic in the US, which is not known just domestically but globally as a very prestigious cancer institution, carries our brand for cancer patients who are undergoing chemotherapy and radiation. So obviously if it's safe for cancer patients, it's going to be safe for everybody. So when I started with this brand, we were just in one place. There would have been only one logo, and that would have been in Los Angeles, because the company is based in Los Angeles, California. It launched officially in the year 2002, but again, I carried the brand since the year 2000. Now you see we're in 64 markets, but I will tell you that, it's not about filling this map here, this globe, with all these clinical logos. It's about finding the right fit, because now, with social media, with everything, we want to make sure that wherever we go, this brand is always positioned as a luxury cosmeceutical. So it needs to be in top accounts, and this is who's here, the top people here in this market, because we want to make sure that it's aligned everywhere. And I have pulled out distributors that I felt were not aligned with our mission and our vision. So we are about luxury quality and making sure that it is envisioned the same way in every market, everywhere around the world. Another thing that Brian and I told me 19 years ago, when they did not have any money, because they did not have investors, they invested their own money into this company. They said that they would really want to become involved in philanthropic causes. But at that time, obviously, they did not have any money. Well, as soon as they started making money, and cancer was very dear to their heart, so as soon as they started making money, they became involved in all these different philanthropic causes that have to do with cancer. We even have our own cancer care program, and it's extremely busy right now because October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we have events in the US, UCLA, Washington Cancer Institute, Cleveland Medical Center, Mayo, all over the US that are specifically for cancer patients. But I wanted to bring your attention to the National Breast Cancer Coalition. This is the biggest organization in the US that was developed to find cure for cancer. And the two founders of the company sit on the board of National Breast Cancer Coalition. Why I wanted to bring your attention to this institution is because since the year 2003, 100 of the proceeds from the sale of one of our serums that was developed for cancer patients, polyvitamin serum, globally, not just in the US, but all over the world during the month of October, because of the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, goes to the National Breast Cancer Coalition. And this has been going on since the year 2003. Not 10%, but 100%. Meaning we make no money on that product during the month of October because everything goes into the National Breast Cancer Coalition. And when they told me that years ago, 19 years ago, there are a lot of companies that tell you a lot of things, but then they don't necessarily always come to fruition. I have to say that the reason why I'm representing this company when I'm standing here is because we've become friends over the years, but it's because they are truly so ethical, and everything that they do, really, they follow through on it. So, for me, it's so easy to talk to everybody, to travel around the world and talk about it because I so truly believe in the product, and I saw how effective they were on my patients. When I wasn't affiliated with this company, I could sell whatever I wanted to. And I was going to sell whatever was going to work for my patients and whatever they were going to be using and purchasing. It just so happened that it was always this brand that I did so well.